bad.
Just a reminder to all teams that to complete their games, that you please remove all your rubbish from the drop-off and place in the bins provided. Thank you.
Under 16 girls touch action. This is round 6 of the competition, in fact, as we see St George taking on Canterbury, an old-fashioned derby here at Jubilee Park. Mike Sheen and Ricky Hetherington with you this morning. Ricky, good morning, welcome. It's a warm morning now, and the girls on display here at Jubilee Park.
Yes, thank you, Mike. It's great to be here again today at Jubilee Park. It is heating up, and this is the girls' second game for the day, so interesting to see how much they've still got in the tank.
Well, watching the warm-ups pre-game, though, was certainly, the Saints girls were certainly fired up and about. Saints in the traditional red and white, Canterbury in their traditional blue and white, so easy to distinguish these two teams. As we see St George turn it over on the last, inside the 7. Now Canterbury, what have they got? The Dogs looking very sharp as they sweep to the right. Looking to dump in the box and reload. Up towards halfway, that's a good run there from Canterbury. Now it's Talia Dower in the 4. The 12's Miller Hurley. First time we've seen a lot of these players. That's Dower again, but play goes to ground.
It's a good set there by the Canterbury girls. They got good flow through the middle of the field and really got to their box and got the fresh legs on. Probably not the right pass at the end of it, but I'm sure they'll fix that up as this game goes along.
So St George coming out of their end, the red and whites, making it outside the 7 by about 5 metres. Now they work to the right-hand side, working to the box to reload. The ball goes to ground. That's not what they were looking for. Marley Broughton there, looking for a support player, but not finding one.
No, not a great set there by the St George girls. They're just trying to go laterally to their box. Didn't really want to go forward. They've got to go forward first, then look to get to their box on touch 2 and 3. If they don't go forward, they're not going to make the metres. And here come Canterbury looking to set up probably something through the middle.
They dive there from the number 10, and I think they're going to say that, no, that was short. The number, was that the number, looking on the wrong side of my sheet here. Don't have a number 10 though for Canterbury. So another number here that's missing from our list, but they're in the corner. So Canterbury have their first score of the day. Up 1-0 after just over 2 minutes.
Lovely little short-side raid there from the Canterbury girls, and a lovely long ball to the winger in the corner, and a great little try from Canterbury. St George got there, just missed the touch and got the back feet, but the ball was already on the ground first.
So this is a Pool B match. Canterbury top of the table in Pool B. St George yet to record a win after 3 outings. They've had a bye as well, so 7 teams in this pool, Pool B. Here at the Junior State Cup under 16 girls playing for the Toohey Cup. As we see St George on the attack. Back to the 7 they go. And they're going to reload again. St George trying to put something on here. It almost intercepted there by Violet Lone for Canterbury, but they'll get 6 more. That was Faith Messina, the tall number 42 for the Saints. That's her with the ball now. She'll look to get it back here, but pass just out in front of her.
Yeah, just a few simple mistakes from the St George girls at the current moment. Let's just tidy them up. They look dangerous when they hold the ball and control the ball. When they're making mistakes, it's going to hurt them.
Canterbury working to their box now. Wholesale changes as we've seen all weekend. Canterbury rolling to the left-hand side. That's a nice ball for April Chappell. The referee's got a saying she didn't play it squarely, so it'll be a turnover to St George. About 5 metres short of halfway.
Yeah, they had a bit of a roll on there, Canterbury, and you've got to play the ball straight. You've got to have both your body facing parallel to the sidelines and facing downwards the way you're going. And St George has got pinged for exactly the same thing on the turnover, and Coach Scott Henderson will not be happy about that. He'll be looking to fix that on the go here very quickly.
And the coach for Canterbury's Michelle Hurley. They got numbers out here to the left-hand side, and she'll score in the corner.
No, we didn't. We got a forward pass.
Forward pass. Well, I was about
Referees have got a forward pass there. On the spot, the referees all weekend have been so far, and it's great to see that. They picked up that forward pass, and St George, I think, let off the hook there a little bit. I think Canterbury had a clear overlap, and they should have probably iced that a chance.
Areti Kate Potagitama was the one set to score for Canterbury. The 24 for the 22 for the Dogs. That's her making the tag now. A heavy tag there. Referee's going to say lost ball. There could have been a forceful touch penalty there, but
there's a bit of a hard contact, but the referees do let it go. If they let it go both ways, as long as it doesn't interrupt the roll ball a great deal. But the onus is on the ball carrier to hold the ball as well under a little bit of contact.
So Canterbury now working to the left-hand side of the St George defence. On their right, the eastern side of the ground, they'll come back to the open left. That's Sophia Brightwell. Sister Jessica in the team. They've got numbers, and they'll score this time. Charlotte Teplik-Kanek, I hope I've got that correct, in for the second for the Dogs. They go up 2-0 after 5.5.
Yeah, lovely little sweeper play there by the Dogs. They swept from the far side of the field, created the overlap, and Charlotte scored a lovely try there. So they lead 2-0, the Doggies.
Canterbury on the front foot, St George having to do a bit of chasing. Not a surprise having had a look at the ladder that Canterbury doing well, and St George at the wrong end of the ladder for them, but they'd like to certainly rectify this with a solid showing here. They've had some good moments. There's Annika Ullman, sister Anika in the team, and they will... What's the referee going to say? It'll be a play the ball on the 7.
Yeah, it's lovely. They created a nice little they wrapped around there, the St George girls, created a nice little overlap, and the winger couldn't quite get the ball down there, Charlie Hugh. So be looking to do that again a few more times. The St George girls looking at that wrap-out play. They'll be creating a lot of opportunities for them.
So now that's come off a Canterbury hand. Now it'll be a turnover. So it'll be Canterbury ball inside, just on their own 7.
Yeah, they went for the little wraparound play, the rooster play again. The St George girls didn't quite execute. Now Canterbury be looking to get to their sub-box, get their fresh legs on after a few sets in defence.
They do that now. They'll work up to the box towards halfway. 4 and 5 fresh bodies on. At the same time, they roll out to the left-hand side. Now that's Emily Teplik-Kanek with sister Charlotte in the team. A couple of sets of sisters on the park. They need to offload that ball. Was the touch made? I think it was. Yes, turnover.
Great defence there by St George, but another little play there from the Doggies. They just got out of trouble there, got out of half, got in the backfield. And once a scoop of the half gets through, they cannot score, but they must offload the ball. So that's what we're looking to do there. But they got a penalty here, though, the St George girls, for the Canterbury throwing the ball away, delaying their changeover. So St George get marched up the field, and they get an extra cheap 10 metres there.
Certainly a beneficial start to the set for St George. Making contact just short of the halfway line. So only a couple of changes on this occasion. Not making the full change they have before. They're in possession on the Canterbury 10. But the ball goes to ground. Annika Ullman. It's her sister Amelia looking to make the touch. And the number 3. Canterbury making changes. They come back to the open left now. They've got numbers and they've got a little bit of room to work with. That was a little bit of a bobble there at dummy half, and the ball goes to ground. Yeah,
it's a few mistakes last couple of minutes from both teams. There's little errors, and as I say that, St George has dropped the ball cold on the changeover. And now Canterbury will go on the attack again. I would say they're looking to run another sweeper play again, or from a link quickie platform.
Canterbury on the attack about 15 metres out. Coming up towards the 7. Now ball to the outside, and that's in this time. No.
Late pass. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a late pass. So the Canterbury player was touched and then passed the footy. It's not allowed. It's a penalty. So St George let off the hook there again there by Canterbury's ill discipline.
So Canterbury conceding possession and what would have been a third try for them in this game. 2.5 minutes to half time. get into the middle part of the day. St George making some good ground there as they reload. Referees found an error in the play the ball once again. They're very strict on that, Ricky, the play the ball areas.
Yeah, the referees are all over it. Then there's a little bobble there from St George girls. I probably would have let it go, but the referees are right on top of it and have been all weekend. They're great to have for the weekend. They've been on point all weekend, the referees. They're doing 6 games, 7 games in a day, and players complain about doing 3 games. So the referees have it a lot harder than the players.
They certainly do. And without the referees, we wouldn't have a tournament. So
no, exactly right. We can't thank them enough in their panel here this weekend, working hard again on the sideline. Some of our most elite referees at our state events, national events are here this weekend, coaching these young referees as well.
Certainly great to see the future of officiating in good hands as we see St George rolling towards halfway. Now rolling block plays up the middle. 42 is Messina. She'll bring it back on the last. It'll be a turnover. Midway between the 7 and the 10. Canterbury's end of the ground. 2-0 the scoreline with just over a minute remaining in the first half. Canterbury looking to set something up here. Working towards the 7 at the attacking end. Number 5's Kaylani Manu. Number 12 is Miller Hurley. Hurley happy to go back to go forward and reload. They're going to run a play here. Looks like it'll be Dower once again. The dive, and they're in, are they? No. That was Violet. Oh, no, they are going to give it. Violet Loane.
They're going to give a try there to the Canterbury girls. A lovely little rooster play again. And found the open man and a lovely just dove over the line really late there. The number 0, Violet Lone. And a lovely try there from Canterbury. Probably a well-deserved try for Canterbury. They've been dominating this entire half of football. And 2-0 probably didn't reflect how good they were going. But 3-0, it's a lot better. And the coach, Michelle Hurley, would be a lot happier with that scoreboard as it looks now.
Final seconds of the first half. Be very surprising if Canterbury gets one scored against them in the final seconds. Although St George rolling upfield, really attacking hard. Ullman, that's Annika. There's the hooter in the background. And they'll just take the tap. And the referee says, half-time. Thank you, ladies. That'll do. 3-0 Canterbury at the break. Probably a fair reflection, as you just said, Ricky, that Canterbury have dominated, but St George have certainly made them work for it.
Yeah, they definitely have. Canterbury, have, as I said earlier, have been dictating the tempo of this game so far and have been looked a better team for most of the first half. And it was only moments where St George looked really good and looked at opportunities. But St George are hanging in there if they can just fix their drives and the mistakes. They're in this game, St George. But Canterbury, if they can just keep their drive going, keep dictating tempo, they will be fine.
Okay, looks like we're having a change up above us in the broadcasting tower, so we'll continue on. But 3-0 at half-time. St George, yeah, a couple of little errors. If they can address those, I can see Scott Henderson down there having a chat to them. He'd be reasonably happy. A couple of little things, if they can cut those out, they'd be a lot happier. Canterbury over on the far side would be content with where they're at. They'd be happy to keep going the way they are. If they can keep that up, they'll be doing well.
Yeah, I'd say the message from Scott Henderson, from St George's coach, would be just get the mistakes out, keep the drive going, run the rooster play, which they've had success with when they got down there, had opportunities. And then the message from Michelle Hurley from Canterbury will be just keep doing what we're doing, drive hard, defend well, take your opportunities when they're there. Probably ice a few more opportunities. They've missed a few opportunities they've had. But if Canterbury keep going and St George keep making mistakes, the score will double and probably more. But St George aren't out of the game. If St George score first in this second half, they are back in this game well and truly.
Absolutely. They're in the contest. Only 3-0 down, get one early, and you never know what can happen from there. So up next after this game, what have we got? Let's have a look at the schedule. We've got Yass and St George in the under-18 boys. That one due at 10 a.m. Already a very warm day here at Jubilee Park. We've talked about this all weekend. Saying it's 27 at present. Certainly a lot cooler than yesterday, but we're expecting looks like around 36 is the high this afternoon, so we might get away with it.
Yeah, we might get away with it. Who knows? Every website you look at, every app you look at, it's got a different temperature for this afternoon, so wait and see what happens this afternoon, but hopefully bringing the games forward an hour will hopefully help us a bit and get more games in before the heat does hit too bad.
Although I think a lot of people enjoyed those twilight matches last night. Just quietly, I think that was a big success. Jason and I were talking earlier and said we thought they were enjoyed by everybody.
Yeah, I didn't mind. My team personally didn't play until 6:30 last night. We were about to tap off at 3 o'clock when the games got suspended. So we played 2 in the afternoon evening, and it was a lot cooler in those temperature times. So I think it's something New South Wales Touch could look at in the future here if we stay at Wagga in the future, is having that big break in the middle of the day and then
come back in
the evening. The lights, we have lights, they are good lights, so why not use them to our advantage and get out of the heat of the day and let the people enjoy Wagga. Let people enjoy the town of Wagga, because we come here and we spend 9-10 hours a day here at the fields, and then we don't get to enjoy the city as much. So if we can have a big breakthrough in the middle of the day, everyone can enjoy the city, and we have team lunches can happen instead of team dinners.
Go and have lunch somewhere at I know there's plenty of restaurants around Wagga. I saw the one that, not to my fancy, but I saw a Tibetan restaurant when I was in Wagga on Thursday afternoon as Canterbury goes in for another.
Yeah, lovely try there by the Canterbury girls while we were talking, but they ran the Rooster play again, and it's got the nice little overlap. And then in the far side was the number 24 for Canterbury. April Chappell. Lovely try there for Canterbury. And they've just controlled the game here, Canterbury, start this first half.
Yeah, as we were saying, plenty of dining outlets around the town of Wagga, so certainly plenty of options available if you're in the Wagga or Riverina area at any time. Plenty of dining options available for you. Whatever you're after, whether it's the kids, a team dinner, as you said, a family meal, or just a quick bite to eat.
Every pub's packed with team dinners at the moment every night, so it's very hard to get a table.
I'll make a note of that. I'll make sure I stick to my the one nearest my accommodation, which is literally walking distance away, so I'm not complaining too much.
Yeah, so here you go, Canterbury. Now they're looking to drive and probably really trying to stretch the lead out there. They're trying to dominate the game here, Canterbury, with their drive and just their absolute ferocity they've been known for in the women's game for a while. Just always gotten to go forward, always wanting to do the best.
Sophia Brightwall plays it just inside the 10. That's a great run upfield. They caught them napping there, Canterbury. The number 10 made a great run upfield.
Yeah, she's got out of half there, the Canterbury number 10, and really put St George under pressure. They all just shut in, and she tried to pass off, and they just got in the way. St George and knocked it down, and Canterbury 6 more. And it wouldn't surprise them they look to go for either a quickie play or a rooster play here to get a try.
They go short side, left-hand side. The dive from about 2 metres out fell short. Touch was made.
Yeah, lovely dive there by Miller Hurley, but a lovely strike there from the number 27 from St George, Harriet Gunn, the link there. She just shot in from the short side. The Canterbury girl didn't see it coming and saved the team probably there. She looking to do it again here?
No, they're going to come to the open side. Messina zigged when she... in fact, that wasn't Messina. That was Po Tagitama, who zigged when she should have zagged at the wrong moment. Yeah,
it's good defence there from St George. And as I said in that previous play, Harriet Gunn on the short side stepped up, took the space off Canterbury. So on the net, when they run it again, they had to come to this open side where instead of it's 2-pass score or a dive, it's 3 or 4 passes, and mistakes are made when passes are thrown.
So we see St George now on the counter-attack over the halfway line. Fresh blood on the field for the Saints, keeping the ball alive. Play on the call. High ball over the top. That won't be caught. And it's a turnover to Canterbury, about 5 minutes short of halfway. They're up 4-0 midway through the second half. Now it's Talia Dower playing it. There's Sophia Brightwell. She'll give it off now for the number 10 for Canterbury, who takes a seat on the side. Coming on is Emily Teplakanik for the Dogs. Up the middle is Serena Jiang. Jiang gets touched. It'll be a turnover on the last. Struggled a couple of times in that situation.
Yeah, Canterbury just not quite at their fluent best at the last couple of minutes, and it's been good defence from St George to keep them out, and they've just got to get their drive right, St George. If they can fix their drive, they are in the game.
So we see St George on the attack, but the referee says, no, we've got an error in the play the ball, so it'll be a turnover and a penalty to Canterbury on halfway.
So a penalty there was for an involuntary roll ball, so she played the ball before she was actually touched. you must wait till the contact's made between the defender and the attacker before you can play the ball. So there they just played it a bit early there, and the referees were all over the top of it. But Canterbury let them off the hook with a simple error.
Yeah, not able to capitalise on that. Ball now with the Saints. Midway between the 7 and the 10, their own end of the ground. They need to really get some possession up the other end of the ground, get some repeat sets here, St George, if they'd have any hope of scoring in this second half. Referees found another
mistake there from St George in the ruck. Just another mistake, and that's, I reckon, they're about their 10th or 12th in this game, just in the ruck mistakes. And Coach Scott Henderson will not be too happy as let Canterbury just dictate the tempo of this game, and Canterbury seem to be doing it with a bit of ease. They seem to sort of just be going through the motions at the moment.
Doing what they like, when they like, and how they like. As Brightwell, that's Sophia, plays it. That's Jessica at Brightwell. Touch was made, turnover.
But St George, they're making a lot of mistakes, but their defence in the last 5 minutes of this entire half has been a lot better. They're really tight, making Canterbury have to throw extra passes, and that's made mistakes. In that situation, they half didn't run. They had no options to pass. So they just picked off the dummy half. So it's good defence from St George. They just got to drive better.
Yeah, if they can complete their drive a little better, they'll certainly be in contention for scoring points. Only 4-0 against the Saints at the moment. Here's a good run upfield by Harriet Gunn. That's the last. Now it's Emily Thompson with it. She'll take the touch. It'll be a turnover.
But a much better set there from St George. They had some purpose. They made no mistakes, and they made the length of the field. Now Canterbury have to go the whole length of the field to even get a shot at them. Yeah, which is what you want there from a team. Yeah,
certainly what they'd be looking for. Brightwell to the outside. Found Po Tagitama, who's just come on, steps inside one. Can she beat the defence? She's still going, Po Tagitama. I think she got touched just short. So it'll be a play the ball on the 7. Great run from Po Tagitama. Eradicate Po Tagitama. Now they put it through their hands, Canterbury. They've got them shot out wide, but they can't get the ball out there fast enough to reach their attacker on the outside.
Yeah, lovely run there on the far winger. So now Canterbury's trying to set up at it and get a nice sweeper play here. Here comes the 24 on the sweep.
In fact, they go the short side. She needs to offload, and that'll be a nice try there to Miller Hurley, who gets in for the score for the Dogs, making it 5.
Yeah, lovely try there from the Canterbury Bulldogs. They went for the sweep play, and St George overread a little bit, so they dummied, come back to the short side, and lovely try there said by Miller Hurley, and Canterbury just extend their lead to 5, and probably haven't been at their fluent best in this second half, Canterbury, but St George have sort of allowed them to do it with making mistakes coming off the half, and the defence has been good in this half, St George. They should take some pride out of that.
No, they'll certainly be happy with what they've shown this morning in this second half in particular. Only conceding a couple of tries in the second half, so they'll be quite happy with that as they work forward here. The girls in the red and white, but as I say that, they make an error at the wrong moment. So it's 5-0 to Canterbury deep into the second half of this one. The boys up next from the red and whites. They'll be looking to atone for the loss of their 16 girls, who again able to keep out the
good defence there by the St George team there. The Canterbury team got out of half and really put some pressure on them. Just couldn't find the open man in the backfield. So good scramble defence there from St George. And now they're looking to ruck it out and hopefully complete a set here and put some pressure on Canterbury at the back end of it if they can.
As we see St George rolling upfield, getting some good momentum through their drive here. That's Amelia Ullman taking it forward. That's her with it now, Amelia Ullman, the number 3. Ball lost by St George at the wrong moment.
Not a bad set from St George. It was the last touch, so you can give a mistake there. That's fine. So, but they're trying to press up here, St George, and try to take some meters and try to have some pride in this last couple of minutes performance.
Yeah, they've certainly put in a much better showing in the second half. Now Canterbury trying to come to the right-hand side. made the replacements. The 88's Charlotte Tiplikanek out of dummy halves to number 10. That's a great run from her. Ball goes to ground though, so it'll be a turnover to St George.
They looked good there, Canterbury, at the back end of the set. They just couldn't quite find the right pass, and that's been their problem in this entire second half. Just pass selection, the good scramble defence from the St George Saints. Really just defending really stoutly and trying to show some pride in their line. That's will give Scott Henderson some real confidence going forward.
I don't think you'd be hung by calling them the Dragons, Ricky. I think
no, probably not by some, but some may
yes.
let me know about it. But they're going good here, St George. They just got to keep it up, and I think they're just getting a bit tired. They only got the 12 players to Canterbury's 14, so that'll be sapping their energy here too in the game.
Wouldn't be too much longer remaining in this one. Canterbury comfortably in front, 5-0 over the Saints. Up next, Yass and St George in the under-18 boys. City versus Country clash as we see the dive for the line, but no. Referee straight away rolls around and says penalty to St George for a late pass. There's the final siren in the background. So they'll take one play, St George, and just take the tap. And that will do. So Canterbury records a solid 5-0 victory over Canterbury, St George in the under-16 girls Pool B match. We'll be back shortly with the under-18 boys, Yass and St George.